y sentí con mucho fiebre, dolor de cuerpo y ya de ahí me empezó más a agravarme más.
After calling 911, Pedro Hernandez Diaz was admitted to the hospital on July 18th. He stayed bedridden for 8 days. For many farm workers, seeking treatment they need can be scary because of their immigration status.
So these are families that are living in the shadows.
But for Pedro, the decision to go to the hospital was the decision between life or death.
Gracias a Dios que estuve allá, si no ya he muerto ya.
But even as his days in the hospital came to a close, his fight wasn't over. He still had symptoms and didn't want to infect anyone.
Yo le dije que no tenía casa, pues, no tenía familiares ni nadie, pues. Y ya me dijeron los del hospital, me dijo, no te preocupes, dice, te vamos a dar una casa que se llama COVID House, algo así. Es que ahí estuve 10 días.
Without a home of his own or family, Pedro was placed in a facility through Project Roomkey, a government initiative during COVID-19 to provide housing for homeless.
Pues ahí es un cuarto, pues. Ajá. Es un cuarto y tiene dos camitas, pues. Ahí llegan personas y personas, pues. Conforme van saliendo unos, entran otros, pues.
Unfortunately, crowded living conditions aren't anything new for migrant workers like Pedro. It's something California Assemblymember Robert Rivas knows all too well.
I grew up in overcrowded conditions. I mention that because I was, raised in poverty, raised by, these immigrant farm workers.
So when the coronavirus began threatening the United States, because of your background, did you know that agriculture workers were in grave danger?
Absolutely, no question. This is a group of workers that it's almost impossible at every turn to avoid an outbreak or avoid infection.
His worry turned into reality. Today, the Latino population is staggeringly disproportionately affected by the coronavirus. For Pedro, the coronavirus resulted in massive loss for him, professionally, personally, and even physically.
Porque desgraciadamente me quedé flaco. Ya no podía caminar. Me acabé mucho. Ya pesaba, bajé 33 libras.
He said people he believed were his friends didn't show up to help him out of fear of contracting the virus.
Y sí, no, ha sido un Magaña, de verdad que sí me siento preocupado y triste porque la verdad no tengo pues familiares, no tengo a nadie.
He's also anxious because he hasn't been able to work picking produce and doesn't know how he's going to pay for his own food or rent.
I think about the people that grow our food, the people that pick our food.
It's concern like this that caused Governor Newsom to enact a statewide directive in April to ensure essential workers, including farm workers, have the right to paid sick leave. The idea was part of an initial plan and series of bills Assemblymember Rivas put together, what he's now calling the Farm Workers Relief Package.
It was this first of the nation COVID-19 relief package.
In September, Bill 2043 and 2165 were signed by Governor Newsom. Rivas said that 2043 is especially important. That's why it went into effect immediately after being signed.
Because it would require Cal OSHA here in our state to track and report workplace investigations.
Cal OSHA is dedicated to protecting and improving the health and safety of working men and women in California. But until Bill 2043, it hasn't been written into law that they must provide information on their investigations.
Because our response to this crisis, as our governor has mentioned, needs to be driven by data.
Rivas said that Bill 2043 will track where infections are coming, helping leaders understand and prevent the spread.
It is all about trying to get a handle on this problem.
Rivas hopes his work will help provide clarity to farm workers on their rights and resources, something that isn't happening for those in the same circumstances as Pedro.
Me siento triste, preocupado, es porque no tengo para la renta, para la comida.
Rivas said that by protecting these essential workers, we're protecting both our state's health as well as all Californians.
As my grandfather would say often, he immigrated to California for a reason, because it was about the California dream. This was a state of opportunity. This was the golden state where he could, provide a future for his family, which he did as a farm worker. And so as a state of California, it's incredibly important that we treat this workforce as essential.